That should have been a negative 1. Because negative 5 plus negative 1 is negative 6. Negative 5 times negative 1 is 5. So, made a mistake right there. Make sure you check your signs. Alright, then we can go ahead and just solve. So, x minus 5 equals 0. And then on this side, there it goes. X minus 1 equals 0. X equals 5. X equals 1. So in this problem, in order to get to the end, make sure you remember to get it out of the square root, you have to square both sides. So you square everything on this side to get it out, square everything on this side, and it doubles up to all this. Five x squared plus 1 equals 51. Okay, this one's a little bit easier. All you're doing is just searching for what x is. Alright, we have an x squared, so it's going to give us a plus or minus. Oh, stay still. Alright, so first thing, minus 1 from both sides. 5x squared equals 50. Get rid of the 5. X squared equals 10. That's just dividing 5 on both sides. Divide 5, divide 5. And then right here, you have a square root. To get rid of that, you have to put this, you have to square both sides. So I have x is equal to plus or minus square root of 10. And I can't break that down anymore, so I just leave it there. Let's do another one real quick, just so you can see. 3x squared equals 27. Alright, divide the 3 away, divide the 3 away. You divide the 3 because it's being multiplied. Right? If it's multiplication, you divide it out. So when I do that, x squared is equal to 9. But once again, I got the square on this side, so x is equal to the square root of 9. X is equal to 3. And it could be plus, it can be a positive 3 or it can be a negative 3. So you could say that, or x is equal to negative 3, x is equal to 3. Alright, linear equations. 3 minus 2x less than or equal to 11. Whenever you see this, don't freak out. Just treat it like an equal sign. So just like everything else, the first thing we do is try and get x by itself. So that means I subtract a 3, subtract a 3, minus 2x less than or equal to 8. Alright, then I got to bring this on this side. But see the negative? Whenever you have a negative in that x, that negative reverses the sign. So in this case, I'm going to have x reverse the sign 4. So divided the 2, that gave me 4. This negative reversed the sign. One quarter to the 4th power. Alright, all this is saying is you have 4 quarters. Well, you have 4 quarters times itself 4 times. So what it is 1 quarter times 1 quarter times 1 quarter times 1 quarter. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 is 256. So 4 times 4 is 8. 8 times 4. 4 times the answer, 256. x squared to the 5th power. Whenever you see this, all you do is this times this. So exponent times exponent. So in this case, 2 times 5. So the answer is going to be x to the 10th. If you have negative 5, let's say you're raised to a negative power, you're still multiplying, but the negative tells you to inverse it. So in this case, I still have 5 times 2. I still have x to the 10th, but it's inverse. So now I put it over 1. Pretty easy. So negative, flip it. Remember, this is really just over 1, so. All right, x plus 3, x minus 3. If you see something like this, all they want you to do is FOIL. So x times x, x squared, x times 3, negative 3, negative 3x, 3 times x, it's 3x, 3 times negative 3, negative 9, x squared, negative 3x plus 3x is just 0, it cancels out. So I'm left over with minus 9. FOIL. This one, and then opposite. Opposite. Um, 62% of what number is 20? Okay, on these problems, you're either going to do multiplication or division. Just remember, 62% of what number is 20, so you're starting from a larger number and going down. So just kind of look at it logically, and you should be able to get the right answer to figure out, like, do I need to multiply or divide? So in this case, you're just going to go 20 divided by 0.62. 62, just bring it over, it gets it out of the percentage. So you should end up with something like 32.25 something. All right, those ones are kind of okay. 4i times 3 times 5i. Okay. These are exactly the same thing you've been doing. The only thing you have to worry about with i's is when you have an I squared. I squared equals negative 1. So if you ever get an I squared, just remember to turn it into a negative 1 at some point when you're starting to reduce down, and then you should be okay. So in this case, I have 12i, 4i times 3, minus 20i squared. So at some point this is going to be a negative 1. Now I don't have any other numbers, so I can go ahead and start reducing. 12i minus 20 times negative 1. Alright, remember, I squared is really a negative 1. 12i plus 20. Negative 20 times negative 1 is positive. And that's your answer. Quadratic equations. Remember the formula. B plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c, all that over 2 times a. So 5x squared plus 6x plus 1 equals 0. That's your A, that's your B, that's your C. So all we have to do is just plug it in. So B, negative 6 plus or minus square root B squared, so that's 6 squared, plus, actually minus, make sure you look at your formula, minus 4 times A, which is 5, times C, which is 1, all over 2 times A. A is 5. So 2 times 5. Minus 6 plus or minus square root, that's 36, minus negative 4 times 5 is 20 times 1, so that's still 20. All that over 10. Negative 6 plus or minus square root, that turns into 16 over 10. Square root of 16 is 4, so now I have minus 6 plus or minus 4 over 10. So now I'm going to make two problems. I'm going to make a negative 6 plus 4 and a negative 6 minus 4. So that's number 1. That'll be number 2. So minus 6 plus 4 over 10. And minus 6 minus 4 over 10. Alright, so negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2 over 10, which is equal to negative 1/5. And this is negative 10, so negative 10 over 10 gives me negative 1. Square root of y minus 12 equals 6. Just like the last ones, this isn't a square root, this one isn't. So to get this out, you have to square both sides. So if I square this side, it kicks it out and just leaves it takes it out of the parentheses. On this side, if I square it, squared, then I have 36. And then I can go ahead and just solve for y. So add 12 to both sides. Y equals 48. So whenever you see these things, make sure you square both sides of the equation. Get everything away from this first, put it onto the other side, and then square it all. All right. Negative 3 greater than 2x plus 1 less than or equal to 3. All right. Treat these once again like equal signs. So here I have one number on this side of the equal. Here I have one number on this side of the equal. Here I have two numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this one out, but I'm going to subtract it to both sides of that equal. Both sides of these guys. All right. So I'm going to go minus 1. That's going to get rid of it. But I'm going to go minus 1 here and minus 1 there. So that gives me a negative 4, 2x, these cancel out, and then that's going to equal 2. Once I have this, then I can go ahead and just break it up into two formulas. This is one formula, that's one formula, and that's the other formula. All right, just make sure there's an x in one and a number in the other. X in one, number in the other. Minus 4 less than 2x, and 2x less than or equal to 2. All right, and then I can go ahead and just solve. X less than 2 goes into 4 2 times, so minus 2. And then in this case, x less than or equal to 1. That's your answer. Once again, just make sure you solve and get rid of everything on either side. You're good. Absolute values. There it goes. Now in this case, remember, absolute value, whatever comes out of the absolute value is going to be a positive. So in this case, we have to make sure that we write it twice. One is positive numbers and one is negative numbers. All right. So the first equation is going to be x plus 9 plus 3 less than or equal to negative 6. And then I got to write the opposite. So it's going to be negative x minus 9 plus 3 less than or equal to negative 6. And then I can go ahead and solve. It's just that easy. So over here, 9 and 3. So x plus 12 negative 6. And then I got to get x by itself. So subtracting 12. X negative 18. Remember, that's a negative 12 on this side, negative 12 on this side. All right? So there's one side of the answer. And then over here I have a minus x. That's going to be minus 6. Minus 6. Then I got to add a 6 on this side to get rid of it and add a 6 on this side. So minus x, that's going to be 0. Positive 6, positive 6. All right. Now I have this negative here, and remember, whenever you have a negative in front of that x, and you got these guys going on, the little arrows, less than or greater than, the negative means flip it. So the answer is going to be x greater than 0. All right, last one is going to be a word problem. It'll give you something like the revenue of a company is blah, blah, blah. They'll give you a formula. In this case, I'm going to give you the formula I'll give you is 8t squared plus 12t plus 750. All right, and they're going to want to know, like, when it gets to a certain amount, they want you to figure revenue or how much you'll be making in a certain year. So in this case, I have the revenue for a small company is given by the quadratic equation 8t squared plus 12t plus 750, where t is the number of years, all right, since 1981 or whatever. So on these problems, they're going to give you another number. They're going to say, when the company hits this number, what's the formula going to be, or how long will it be? So the main thing is just start it off correct. So in this case, I'm going to say, they gave me 750 for the formula, and they're going to say when I hit 1506, what's the year or what's the amount going to be. So it doesn't really matter. Just follow the steps. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let me get it so I can show you. 1506 equals, and then I'm going to put the formula down. So 8t squared plus 12t plus 750. All right. And I'm looking for t. So once I know what they're asking for, this is the equation to get me t, so I can go ahead and just plug this in and then go ahead and just solve like normal. So first thing I'm going to do is get this guy on this side. So I'm going to minus 1506 on both sides. There we go. And then I'm left with 0 is equal to 8t squared plus 12t minus 756. And then right here, I can go ahead and reduce this down a little bit to make it easy for myself. And I think 4 goes into everything. So I'm going to say 0 is equal to 2t squared plus 3t minus 189. All right. So 4 went into 8 2 times, 4 went into 12 3 times, 4 went into 756 189 times. All right. Once I get to this point, then all I have to do is plug it into the quadratic equation. So remember, A, B, C. All right. So I'm going to go minus 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 189 all over 2 times 2. And that should give me negative 3 plus or minus square root of 9 minus 1512, all that over 4. Then I have minus 3 plus or minus square root of 1521 over 4, which is going to give me negative 3 plus or minus 39 over 4. And then once again, I have to just do 2 equations, one with a positive and one with a negative. So equation, I'm gonna bring it over here. Equation number 1 will be negative 3 plus 39 over 4. All right. And equation 2 will be negative 3 minus 39 over 4. All right. So when you're done, you should get like 9 or 10.5. And those will be your answers. Now, for these ones, if you get a negative number, that's probably not the one you're going to use for the actual problem. You'll probably use the one that's positive because they're asking point A to point B, how long is it going to take to get there? So you don't want to do negative because that wouldn't be right. You always want the positive number. So if you get a negative number, whoop, whoop, cross it out, use a positive one.